What's up, guys?
What's going on?
What's going on?
Andy Cruz, William Flores. Thank you
That's
guys for
it.
coming down. I appreciate it. Want to talk a little bit about Cristiansbigheart run and everything you guys got going on at Mortgage Heroes, and thanks for coming by.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Yeah, for
likewise.
sure.
Yeah, and thank you. Well, let's dive right into it, huh?
Yeah, for
let's
sure.
Go.
So where do you want to start? Tell me about Cristiansbigheart run and the story behind that.
Well, first of all, Cristiansbigheart run. The reason for that is many people don't know, but I lost my son 8 years ago. Can't believe that it's been that long already. It was September 1st of 2014. It was one day shy of his 19th birthday, and so he was at San Jose State. He came for the weekend to celebrate his birthday, and so one day shy, of his birthday, we went to his room, and he wasn't, responsive or anything like that, and my wife Tanya is the one that actually discovered him. And so when she went out there, I heard this distinctive yell, and I knew something was wrong. I was downstairs just getting ready to actually go meet a client on a Monday, Labor Day weekend. So, this distinctive yell is still believe it or not, it's still in my head at times. When she yells at certain times, I kind of get startled. I never knew PTSD until, you're going through this loss. So, yeah, unfortunately, he passed away from an undiagnosed enlarged heart, which is something we never knew was very common among, teenagers. And so that's where Cristiansbigheart Run came about, so we wanted to make a difference.
Yep.
Go for it.
No, I was going to say it's one of those things where it's a symptomless condition unless you have an outwardly expression of it. So if you don't see anything happening in your child, you don't know to look for anything.
Right.
But as we kind of became more aware of this, we started learning all these other types of heart ailments that actually have occurred that led to sudden cardiac arrest in teenagers, whether they're athletes or they aren't athletes. Sudden cardiac arrest, there's all these different ways it can happen, but you don't know this until you know it, and this just happened to be the way that we started learning about all these things.
Yeah, exactly. It's an unfortunate situation, because you see this kid, he played soccer, he played football, he was very active. He would ride on his bike. That was one of his actual hobbies. Leading to this was he would go on his bike 25, 50 miles, and so. Yeah. Well, somebody who has a heart condition shouldn't be able to do that, is what the brain tells us, right?
Right.
And so, because it's not a heart, a heart exam is not part of your annual checkup.
Yep.
There's no way of knowing that, and that's the least thing that we think about checking. You know what I mean? So. It took us some time. It took us at least about almost a year to find a way out. And how do we put this energy of our loss, and how do we turn it around into something positive?
Yeah, and it's the work you guys are doing is insane. When you guys are doing heart screening, so if you guys don't know, they put on a 5K run, and they also have heart screenings where the community can come in and get heart screenings. And how many people do you find heart ailments with when you guys do those screenings?
I'm glad that you brought that up. Just not 2 weeks ago, last couple Sundays ago, we actually screened 440 kids in our neck of the woods in Eastlake. So I was really it was Christian's run started that day, which is August 28th. Then we also had in his honor an actual heart screening in our own backyard, and so we were able to screen 440 kids. We found 12 heart abnormalities, 12, all right? And we found 3, possibly a 4th one, at risk of sudden cardiac arrest.
Right. Wow.
That was 16 lives that were changed.
Right.
They were unaware, so they go to this heart screening thinking, well, I'm young.
Yeah.
What could be wrong, or but we were able to change 16 lives that day.
Wow. And the beauty of this, like you said, taking that energy and putting it into something positive, the beauty of this is when you find this thing, which you can look at as a negative thing because they have a heart problem, or a positive thing because you guys found it, but think about now you just changed 16 people's lives who now they're on board.
Yeah.
Right.
And now they're going to change, even if it's one person each.
Yeah.
And this just spreads like wildfire. And I think,
Yeah, well, there's like a double, triple effect, right? Because there's the people who come to the heart screening, they get found out there's a heart abnormality, and now they're in. Like, we need to go follow up with our doctor. But then also, how do we get involved in this, right? How can they participate? And then there's our side of the story where it's out of tragedy that people participate too.
Yeah.
So, we've seen stories where you see, soccer player falls on field, coach thought it was dehydration. Or, it's just hot out. Or, I was tired last night. Well, some of those things may not be direct line connected to there being a heart issue, but oftentimes after the fact they find out it is.
Yeah.
So in the case of our partner organization, the Eric Predis Save a Life Foundation, Eric Predis died of a heart abnormality in his own home, and he was also an athlete.
Correct.
And so it happens to be that, you're going to find people who are going to participate and jump in because they just found something out and it helped them avert a disaster, and then people that are coming in because they already lost their son or daughter. And both can help kind of advance this movement of people understanding what it is, and you're starting to see it more like, I don't want to say mainstream because I don't think it's a mainstream topic necessarily, but you are seeing a higher prevalence. You're seeing a higher prevalence of it because you see the news story or you hear about it online, and then we're not the only organizations doing this kind of effort. So there's more people that are trying to make sure that families are aware of what they need to do.
Right. Wow.
And so Kevin, as much as I like to take credit with all of this, it's like it's a combined effort. So we also want to acknowledge your sponsorship and what you help us do. And so you even putting us here and sharing it with your audience, it just shares that importance of getting screened. So we're so fortunate to have people like you sponsoring, because that's our motivation, that's our inspiration. What people don't know is behind the scenes during these times, getting to Christian passing September 1st, many people think like, well, how do you do it? And they see us always upbeat, but I just put that, a lot of times it's just the facade outside, but inside I'm like, I'm struggling, because this is the reminder. It's very difficult to go through these challenges, let alone, start asking for sponsorship and all that, which I'm not used to asking. I'm very independent. Thank goodness I've been self-employed since I was 18 years old. And so I don't like asking. I just put the work into it. I put the effort into it. And I just want to make sure that we're making a difference. So asking for sponsorship, putting a virtual race together, making sure everybody's getting their shirts. Thank God I got my utility belt over here next to me. This is my right-hand man. But when people come like you and they're just so generous and saying, hey, I understand what you're trying to do here. Let's go make a difference. That's how we're all able to make that difference together.
Well, it helps us do the thing we're talking about. I mean, when he's talking about 440 heart screenings, like that's a direct reflection of people's participation monetarily.
Right.
So sponsorship money brings that in. Donations bring that in. Doing the 5K every year brings that in. So it's those types of things that allow these families in town who don't know what's happening, come find out what's happening.
Right.
And if they need to follow up with their doctor, now they can go with something that they got for free because of people's help like yours.
Yeah. And if you guys are looking to support a great cause, go to Cristiansbigheart.org. That's Christian with no C or no H. No H. So that's C. Well, it's right
there
here.
You go.
So if anybody, we'll have him pull it up on the
we'll
screen.
Put it in there,
Yeah. Please go. Please, even if it's a small donation or even telling somebody about it, please. These guys are doing good work. So.
Yeah, let's create that awareness. Talking about the not known. The irony of it is, we try to volunteer as much as we can with EP Save a Life. They're the best partner we could have had. We have a picture where when people come in, I'm actually the greeter. Hey, how's it going, Kevin? How's your day going? I want to make sure we diffuse that tension, that anxiety, So little do they know that I had a loss because I don't want to show that. You know what I mean? I want to show them and be so grateful and thankful that they made that effort on a Sunday to come and get a heart screen.
Right.
And usually the heart screen are between the ages of 12 to 25.
Yep.
The reason we don't do younger than that is because then they require a pediatrician.
Right.
So we try to stick in that range, and because sudden cardiac arrest, believe it or not, Kevin, is the #1 cause of death among student athletes. The #1. And it still remains the #1 cause of death in the nation.
Cardiac arrest,
And so what we're trying to do there is let's create this awareness. And when they're going in there, most people don't know the true statistics behind it. So since I know it, I try to diffuse everything. I try to take that anxiety, trying to make it welcoming where, hey, Kevin, come on in. You're going to go to this table here. They'll check you in. Next thing you know, they'll direct you to what your next step is.
Yep.
Right? And the beauty of it, as they go, then we do also a CPR demonstration.
Nice.
What is CPR? You know what I mean? Most kids, how do you do
they
that?
don't know.
They'll think it's right away mouth resuscitation. Well, believe it or not, that's not even the case anymore.
Right.
You just do your pushes, you know, and we go staying alive. do. So, like, we teach these kids how to, if their friend collapses, what's the immediate response?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
The other thing is, what is an actual AED, an automated external
I was hoping
defibrillator?
you'd bring this up.
Right? So how is that used? Like, if I put it, most in the movies, what they do is, like, I'm not saying if you've seen Die Hard, they'll pump and they'll kill the enemy with that, you know. But that's such a false reading. The only time an AED is going to actually work if somebody's experienced sudden cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
If there's a bad arrhythmia there, that's when they'll put that, and the machine knows that, hey, I gotta give this electric shock.
Got it.
You know,
Yeah.
and the only thing you don't want to do is when you put those is touch the person.
Yeah, like
Because
a
then you
taser.
can get it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's the only time. So we teach these kids at that age, and you know, parents are around that, so they get to see that too, in case their son collapses. Like, they'll know what to do.
Think about it. Like in a normal circumstance, the first time someone might use an AED is when it's actually most needed.
Right.
Except when you're at the heart screening and you go through this process of learning CPR, learning how to apply the AED, listen to its instructions, then it's not your first time. If you're ever in a social situation, you're at a place where someone might need that to be executed upon them, then it's not your first time hearing the AED instructions, seeing the AED machine, and there's familiarity to it in a non-threatening situation.
Right.
Yeah, and that's, like you said, the AED actually talks to you. It tells you clear.
Yeah.
You know, so it actually talks to you, and it helps you put it on. So
And it covers that gap between emergency services getting on site and that person actually making it. And a lot of times, I mean, that could be 10, 15, 20 minutes in some cases. I mean, hopefully emergency services get there as soon as 5. But if you're not in a centralized location, it might be more than 5 minutes. But those first 5 minutes are really critical when someone's actually having a heart attack or a cardiac event.
Yeah, there's a nonprofit that I heard of, and I think they're in like Brazil or Portugal or somewhere where there's a lot of traffic, right? And the first responders can't get to places. And if somebody's having a cardiac arrest, seconds are everything, you know? And with a lot of emergency responses. But this nonprofit, basically what they do is they have guys on motorcycles that carry around an AED, and they go to it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's I'm getting goosebumps thinking about that, because just think about how many lives they could be saving, you know?
Well, we can see the importance, right?
Yeah.
If other countries are doing that, you know, we've been very fortunate to be able to travel to Europe, and there's practically an AED in every corner.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here, you know, I didn't start seeing them until just recently. I started seeing them here and there, you know. One of the other things that we do is that we actually provide free AEDs to local high schools.
Wow.
Because believe it or not, they usually have one, maybe two. If anything was to happen on the track, we're trying to see if every coach has one. So because that's where normally the situation happens. Well, why run down to the nurse's office to pick that up?
Station.
Or where is it? So
well, and it's like, if you don't have a plan, sorry to cut you off, but if you don't have a plan, and if you don't train, just like in anything, you know, if a guy comes in here with a gun and we don't know how to operate a firearm under stress, we can't do that. Or if somebody falls and has a heart attack, we don't know what to, if we don't know what to do, then that is like life or death, you know?
Correct.
Well, and to his point, like, let's say there's after school sports, right? There's soccer, football, volleyball, basketball, whatever, baseball. Well, that's going to be on a field or in a court. And that's going to be separate from where oftentimes the AED is, which is in the nurse's station or the main office, but it's also after school hours. So if practice is running until 5, 6, 7 p.m., the rest of the admin staff is gone. So you need to have AEDs accessible. And by no means is this like, oh, the districts aren't doing good. The school, they're doing great. But we need more. We want them to be in the hands of coaches right there. Because like you're saying earlier, sometimes it's a matter of seconds. And sometimes a minute passes, 2 minute passes. You have to not only have someone who understands CPR to do that right in the moment, but then you have to have someone to know to go get the AED, who knows what they're looking for. And then to get it there fast enough to then follow the instructions of the AED before emergency services gets there. So there's these huge, like these they're huge, but there's like these really big, important milestones in the timing of the cardiac event between it beginning and emergency services getting there, that every second counts, but every single step and people knowing how to do those steps is important.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, our goal this year was raise $70,000 and provide 15 free AEDs. Last year we did 10, you know, and with EP Save a Life, I think they did another 25.
Yeah.
So the importance of it, you know, when you're first doing things, Kevin, you're kind of like, why are we doing this, right? I don't know. But what I would like to share is a quick story here is my son, Ashton, plays for Eastlake High School. And so my other son coaches for this other school. I don't want to name schools because I don't know if I'm allowed to share, so I just kind of want to put it at in that. So anyways, first half, I'm on Ashton's side. You know, here, let's go Eastlake. So luckily they're winning. My son needs to coach better, I guess, you know, with Devin. So Devin's coaching the other side. I figure I'm going to go and support him now. It's, you know, second half. So I'll go over there to the sideline. And I'm one of those, since they were kids, I was always on the sidelines. I know the coaches. We've always been part of our community volunteering, et cetera. So as I'm going down there, I get my oldest son, Gian. He's wearing the Cristiansbigheart. And the principal comes up to him and says, hey, are you part of this? He goes, actually, Christian was my brother. Oh, no way. He goes, yeah, my dad's right there. He's the one that, you know, we do the race and all that stuff. So she came to talk to me, and she, first of all, says, thank you so much for what you guys are doing. My son has actually gone through the screenings, and thank you guys. It would have never occurred to me to actually do that, which is very powerful for me. And I felt like, okay, this is great. You know, sometimes we say we don't want to hear it, but when we do hear these testimonials,
it's validation that you're doing something and you're not wasting time. And just like business, just like anything that you're doing, just like this podcast, it takes so much time of hard work and not seeing the impact it's having until the impact is bigger than you would ever imagine.
That's it, Kevin. That's right on. So she finishes off with saying also, thank you, because of your organization, we have 3 AEDs on campus.
Nice. Yeah.
So I was like patting myself on the back. I was just like, this is great. And thank you. I told her, you know, thank you, you know, so much for giving me this information, because we don't know what really happens. Right. You know, it's not like the organizations go and say, okay, we want to give an AED to this school. We go to the district, and however they push them out is how they do that.
They allocate them.
You know, so they allocate them accordingly. And it was just neat to be a part of that.
Yeah, and again, like the validation of like, okay, we're actually doing something that's not, you know, we're not wasting time here. And also, it's such a healthy way to cope with such a hard thing to deal with, you know, for everybody involved. So not to mention, this isn't just helping you, but everybody that knew him rallies around this every year. You know, it's like you're going to have to take that energy and do what you can with it.
That's it.
It's a bittersweet time of year, because it's like, okay, we commemorate Christian and him passing, but we also have to do something positive with it too.
Right.
So that it can have the impact in people's lives where they don't have the same outcome by being able to identify abnormalities early. And I have to give a quick credit to like all the doctors and the nurses that come. God. I mean, it's not like 5 or 10. It's dozens of people like 70, that come 80. Every time to do the heart screenings, and they're doing this on their weekend. It's unpaid time, but these are people who are they're in nursing here in San Diego. This is like their job. They're bringing their expertise to the heart screen for free, and it's all led by Dr. Rogers, who's awesome because he's a cardiologist. So he oversees the whole thing. And that even helps in the I'll say in the healthcare side of things, them to have awareness of, oh my gosh, I heard about this thing from my coworker or someone else who came before. And so now the volunteer base is even growing, and that's helping us get to more people here in San Diego.
No, true. So again, I want to say thank you, Kevin, because that AED could have just been yours. Hopefully it doesn't get placed to work. You know, we don't want that. We're hoping for that that AED not to be used, but it's because of sponsorships like you guys that we were able to put these things in place. So hopefully it doesn't get used, okay? And everything's okay. So
available and unused.
Exactly. So sharing, even with EP Save a Life, I always say that they saved my life because they're the ones that gave us the inspiration, the vision, how we're going to be moving forward with Christians Run. Just like starting a business, you know, sometimes you're just kind of like, well, how do I start this? Right. Because I've never done that. You know?
You don't know what you don't know.
We don't know. Right. We never done a nonprofit. you know, I grew up with having nothing. So me being in this position and now having a nonprofit and giving back to the community, it's something, Kevin, that I never thought I would do in my life.
Right.
We're not trained to do those things. You know, we're just trained like, hey, you go to work, you pay your bills, you hopefully retire well, and you treat the family well, you know?
Yep.
But now, let alone now we're making a difference in the community, giving back.
Yep.
Yeah.
When would we have thought that? You know what I mean? And it's difficult enough to run your own business because I'm self-employed with Mortgage Heroes. You know, we've been doing that for the last 16 years. I'm giving off my age here, but yeah, it's been that long.
Man,
I never
you're
thought
old.
it'd be, yeah. And now Christian's Run has been going on for 8 years.
Yep.
So it's like, you know, we're juggling all these balls, and that's what we need, all the support that we can get.
Yeah. And again, please, if you guys are, if you can do anything, whether it's even sharing this episode,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
go to Cristiansbigheart.org. Again, there's no H in Christian. We're going to pop it up on the screen if you're watching, and you can find it in the description of anything that we're doing here. So please go to that.
Yeah, please help us make a difference.
Yep.
Let's make a difference, and let's go save lives, because that's literally what we're doing. I shared earlier that was 14 lives that we've changed, you know, and so these are the things that we want to do. So as I'm going back to the story of giving the transition on what we're doing, not only are we doing the CPR demonstration, teaching people what an AED does, after they go through that station, they go and we do an EKG, right? And so the great thing about this, it's painless.
Right.
It's just a bunch of stickers. If you have hairy chest, like a lot of us do, that's when it becomes painful, because
when you're taking it off,
that's
right?
it, you know, but that's about it, you know?
It's worth it.
Yeah, so we check, we get the volunteers. One of the things we refrain from doing is like, you know, the people that are reading this, we don't know how to read those things. It's just like this thing that just goes. You're like, how do you read it? We don't know. That's why we have a cardiologist on site that does do the readings. So after they're done with that, that takes about not even 2-3 minutes, about 3 minutes tops, if that. You know, we try to get their watches, chains, get that off so that then it doesn't interfere with the EKG reading. Once they go they pick up their paper and
chart.
they go to the next station, which is to meet the cardiologist. If we see any abnormal arrhythmia in the heart, the cardiologist, usually we have like 3-4. Lately, we've been very fortunate with that. It used to be just Dr. Rogers handling. Prior to COVID, we were doing like 800 to 1,000 kids.
Wow.
On a Sunday.
Per screening,
Right.
So 6 heart screenings throughout the year. We already have one, Torrey Pines, October 4th, 9:30 to 2:30. You know, so please share that. You know, register. You'll go to epsavealife.org. They can register there. You know, the more the merrier. It'll be great. So after he does that read, if we see any arrhythmia that's just kind of we do an ECG. So that's an echo. That is an ultrasound on their heart. Like, we go in depth. So just so you have an idea of what we're doing here with your combined efforts and all our sponsors, thank you guys, is if you don't have insurance, just the deductible can range anywhere from $800 to $1,600. That's just for the EKG. Right? Now we do an ultrasound. Come on, guys. And we have 6 machines on site. 6. Because of, again, our sponsors. I continue saying that because I am so grateful to them, because they're the ones why we're allowed to do what we do. You know, EP Save a Life, they don't go out there and, you know, get donations like that. They rely on sources like us, Cristiansbigheart, Scripps Hospital, other big sponsors. So they continue to be able to just focus on, let's do the heart screenings. You know?
And to his point, like, a lot of people with their kids, they're not going to have this process unless there's already a symptom or there's something that's kind of demonstrating that their physician would recommend them or refer them for future testing. And so, again, unless there's some reason why they might need to do that, then they don't. And you know, it's not an accusation of the industry. It's just the way that it is. And everyone's assumed to be healthy and normal until there's something that you see that's abnormal, and then okay, let's run some more tests. That's just the way it goes. In this case, we fill that gap with EP Save a Life, and we get hundreds of kids every screening that get to have that as free.
Yeah.
That's free.
Right.
And we try to, each station tries to, let's enjoy the journey here.
Yeah.
Let's make it
Have
fun.
some fun through the
Because they don't know what's
process.
really
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, you got a 12-year-old, 13. You remember at 12, I mean, that was just like 5 years ago for you, right?
Yeah,
but
yeah, something like
you're
that.
getting something attached to you. You're like, what am I doing here? First of all, I was like, why didn't my
Yeah.
mom wake me up so early?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
You know,
Oh
on
my
a
gosh.
Sunday, like,
Yeah.
come on now.
I wanted to play some video games.
Exactly,
Yeah.
you know? And so I'm so grateful that they did that. And I always give kudos to the mom and the dad. Like,
Yeah.
thank you for bringing them. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
For taking that initiative, right?
Right,
Little
right.
does he know, luckily most of them, you know, are healthy and good.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, sometimes, you know, like a couple weeks ago, it was 16. It was just 16 people. I
Yeah.
mean, then that's our own neck of the woods. And, you know, the common denominator is a lot of Hispanic and African American that were
Yeah.
actually diagnosed with more of that.
Right.
So,
And that's 16 families that can now take the next right step in the health journey of their kids.
Yes.
So it's really important that they came and that they found out.
that's right.
And-
That's right.
And I think a big thing in the United States especially, we don't focus on preventative things. We focus on handling problems when they happen, right? So like it's like if you never change your oil in your car and then all of a
Right.
sudden something burns up and
What happened?
oh my gosh, dang, that's crazy. You know, it's
Yeah.
like we don't focus on preventing these things or even looking out for them. Like you said, people don't know until something is symptomatic, and that's a big problem.
And just think of that bill, right? If you
Yeah.
didn't, right? If you
Yeah.
didn't give it its normal checkup,
Right.
what does that bill look like?
Yeah.
If it's expensive for a car, just imagine how expensive it is for us. And we already know the United States, we're one of the most expensive countries
Yep.
when it comes to medical attention.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, and a lot of the conversation around cardiac health has to do with how unhealthy someone is or
Right.
a lifestyle is.
Right.
And so when it comes to adults in cardiac arrest, you know, they'll typically, in general, I'm generalizing here, they'll talk about things that are unhealthy about nutrition or lifestyle that then lead to there being cardiac problems.
Right.
Which is not necessarily the case with the teenagers in this 12 to 25 range. It might not actually be a lifestyle that is causing that. A lot of times it's something they were born with that just goes unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
So the great thing, Kevin, it doesn't even stop there. Again, you know, sponsorship allows us to just do bigger things and focus on other things. You know, when you have all the support, just like in business, right? When you have the right staff, it allows you as an owner to grow in different areas, to start thinking bigger things.
Right.
You know, so right now we were working on passing a bill through California, which is SB 1135. Anybody can go out there and Google it. It passed through the Senate, through the Assembly, and then it got caught. Always getting resistance, no matter what. So the whole goal of this is that every child, before they step on the field as part of their mandatory physical, is that they do an EKG on them.
Yep.
So that way, we'll still continue doing the free heart screenings if this passes.
Yeah.
Right? But we're trying to make everyone aware the importance of this.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
would that be part of like the physical process?
that's
Because they
it.
already go through a physical. It wouldn't be that much harder to make that a
That's
part of the
it.
process.
It would not be. And the bill initially is to do a 3-year pilot program to gather all the data to support the evidence of it being part of the protocol.
Right.
So it's not part of the protocol. The bill is to gather all the data over a 3-year period in order to have the evidence and to basically fight for it to be part of the protocol.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just like for us now, what do we do on our annual checkup? Blood work, right? We
Yeah.
want to see, like, what are some of the things? Well, here's your cholesterol. What do you do? Now you got to eat better in this, right?
Yep.
So now if we have an EKG, well, what do we do? Now we can go out there and get this thing done. You know what I
Right.
mean? Certain things. And so that's what we're trying to do, is just show the importance of all of this, you know?
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it hit a snag. Next year, we have to go try it again.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm in conversations with a mayor, San Juan Capistrano, right now. And so we're trying to see how much help we can get so
Yeah.
that we gather the troops and we, again, put it out there, you know, next year and hopefully get this new rule passed, you know? So,
Yep.
yeah, those are the other things that we're actually doing. It just doesn't stop with just a virtual run with Christian, you know?
Yeah.
There's a deeper rooted reason, a big why, you
Yeah.
know? And in anything we do, if the why is bigger than us, I think we'll all continue to just grow.
Yeah, and thinking bigger, the name of this podcast is not just about business. You know, there's so many
Yeah.
things that we need to think bigger on, and this is one of them. So,
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
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 I mean, ultimately, how cool would it be that we don't have to do this? In the
Yeah.
sense that it's part of the protocol,
Yeah.
so that every teenager, regardless of their
Yeah.
athleticism or not, has a heart screening.
Yeah.
That would be so awesome.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
again, it would be sad because well then we have to pivot and change course for what we're doing to support those causes. However, how cool would that be that every single kid in California gets that?
Yep.
Regardless, I mean, it's awesome that we have it here in San Diego. There's 6 heart screenings throughout the year. They're in different parts of the county. It's thousands of kids we're going to see.
Yeah.
But that's thousands of kids out of millions of kids.
Yeah.
So how cool would it be that millions of those kids just got it because they had to?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm kind of have a grin here right now because I'm already visualizing.
Yeah.
Right? I'm already visualizing that it will pass because I know it will pass.
Yeah, it will.
And the great thing about that is California would be the pioneer of this.
Right.
Yep.
Right? And then the beauty of it, we already know what happens to the other states.
Yeah, well, you have the 9th biggest economy in the world, right?
Yeah.
California is something like
Yeah.
that. So
Okay.
when that works out,
Yeah.
then, I think this could go more than just
Yeah.
in the U.S. So
Yeah, I think more states will start actually implement like, oh, okay, well, let's listen to that. What's the reason?
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll start doing that, So I smile because that's the true vision. That's the big why.
Right.
Yeah.
Our goal is to save lives, to make a difference, not just in our community, but what if it's actually a whole state?
Yeah.
And we were part of that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Kevin, you're a
That's
part of
thinking
that.
big.
Yeah.
You're a part of that, right? Because you're believing in this. We're
Yeah.
doing this podcast. We're thinking bigger.
Yeah.
And we want what's bigger. So
Yeah.
I really feel with the right support, the right people, we will make this happen. It's going to come to fruition.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that
I
was my
believe it.
biggest thing. And our biggest angel is my inspiration of why we got to just continue moving with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey guys, Kevin Feely here. Thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode of Thinking Bigger with Kevin Feely. The episode kind of ended abruptly because we had some technical difficulties with our camera. We will be doing another episode with these guys talking about mortgages, but we really wanted to split this into 2 episodes. One to talk about Cristiansbigheart and everything that's going on with that, and then another one about mortgages and business, which I know a lot of people are excited about as well. So if you're interested in supporting Cristiansbigheart, I'm going to put the link on screen and in all the bios. It is Cristiansbigheart.org. There is no there is no H in Cristiansbigheart. So please go to Cristiansbigheart.org. Support this, even if it's a few bucks. It would really mean a lot to me and obviously to Christian's family. So please go ahead and do that. And thank you again. Like, subscribe, follow, leave a review. We need all the support we can. And share this with somebody else if you think they'd benefit from it. Again, thank you so much for watching or listening to Thinking Bigger with Kevin Feely. Love you guys. See you in the next one.